Are you wondering why childhood trauma still impacts us as adults? If so, this is the video for you. My name is Marissa Price. I am a Black woman social worker, healer, and educator, providing a safe space for us to share our resources, our experiences as Black women navigating the healing journey of healing from childhood trauma and different traumatic experiences that we've had throughout our lives. So, if that sounds good to you, please subscribe to my channel for content like this going forward. Please be sure to share your experiences below if this resonates with you. And yes, welcome. And hello to everyone who is joining. Please introduce yourself in the chat so we can say hello to you. But yeah, happy Friday, y'all. First, how are y'all doing? As you're coming in, let me know. Let me know. This week was a little bit better, right? Last week was all over the place for me. Yeah, this week I felt a little bit more grounded in what I'm doing. And I'm excited to announce the launch of a workbook that I put together, 5 steps to begin healing from childhood trauma, which you can purchase now. I linked it in the chat, as well as you see the address on the screen that you can go to if you do want to purchase this. And this is really for if you are just at the beginning of understanding how childhood trauma has impacted you, or if you've already gone through some of the initial phases and you're looking to kind of delve deeper into those roots. Because I have found on my own journey of healing from childhood trauma, the more that I discover and realize about how I'm showing up as an adult and how I can connect it to childhood, another thing will pop up. I'll be like, oh, I had no idea that that's also linked to a past memory, a traumatic experience in childhood that now impacts how I'm showing up in adulthood. So, if you're in the beginning stages of your healing journey, this workbook is for you. If you're in the middle, if you've made some progress already, maybe you've gone to therapy to discuss this is really for you, right? To keep for a lifetime, really, to be able to go back to. There's space for you to write in your reflections as well. So you have that. And I think it'll be pretty cool, like throughout your life, if you're able to go back to this workbook that I put together for you, just to see how you evolve over time. Hey, everyone who's joining, Fiat, welcome. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Leslie says, my lady. Hello, everyone. Hey, Leslie. It's always good to see you. Always good to see you. Rabia, hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome, y'all. Yeah, so like I said, happy Friday. Happy Friday. Let me know how y'all are doing as we're going into the weekend. This discussion is just a few points that I've laid out, why childhood trauma still impacts us as adults. I feel like the society that we live in has kind of cut us off from everything that we've experienced prior to 18. This arbitrary age that was just put down, like this is past this point, you're supposed to be a brand new person. Everything that has impacted you, everything that you've experienced before this point doesn't matter, right? So you should just cut that off. That's not how it works, because in fact, as I'm going to talk about, our brains develop like 95%, right, within this time period before you're 9, before you turn 9. So how are we just cutting off everything that we've experienced before that point? That doesn't make sense to me. Danny, hey, welcome, welcome. Yeah, y'all. So I just have a few points laid out. Yeah, like I said, childhood trauma is often trivialized, right? Even talking about bullying during childhood is kind of put as like, this is what you should expect. This is just part of being a child. You will be teased, right? You will be harmed. You will be made to feel inferior. And this is just something that you have to go through. I think that's false, right? I think that's false. I don't think that should be an expectation that we have for children, that they should be harmed. Because again, our brains are really in the critical development phases during these periods, right? So what does that mean if you are exposed to hostility? If you're exposed to bullying based on things that you can't change about yourself, how does that set you up to be in harmful environments as adults? So I'm really like rejecting this idea in society that tells us that after 18, we should just get over everything that we've experienced before that point. That's not accurate, right? That's not how the brain works. And I think it goes further into like dehumanizing us, really. Because once we get past that point, it's like, okay, you're ready to enter the workforce, right? You're no longer viewed as this human being with all of these really deep experiences, with these roots and these traumatic experiences that you had in your life up to that point. And why is that? And who does that serve? I think that's important to ask as well. Yeah. Rabia says familial trauma is normalized as well. Yeah, there's been pushback in recent years, but there's still work to be done. I agree. I agree. Yeah, yeah. Like it's just supposed to be part and parcel, right? That your family members are traumatizing to you, right? Sometimes that they even make fun of you, that they even ostracize you. And that's just part of a family, being in a family. That doesn't sound right to me, right? And I think a lot of the things that have been normalized are just reflections of the larger oppressive society that we live in, the systems that we live in, that tell us that we have to compete, that we have to put each other down, that there's only spot for one of us, right? That some people, it's okay if some people are ostracized. Some people don't have the resources that they need. That's just something that we should be okay with. Why? Why is that? I don't think that's correct. And I don't think that's how we were meant to live, right? Yeah. So the first reason why childhood trauma still impacts us as adults, brain development. Like I said, the majority of our brain development occurs before the age of 9. Our brains have even reached 90% of the size they will be for our entire lives by the age of 5. Right. So when we talk about adverse childhood experiences, which I've talked about before, and this is just a term for traumatic experiences that occur from 0 to 17. Again, this arbitrary cutoff when you turn 18, which I do not adhere to, I do not agree with. But some of those experiences may be abuse, emotional and physical neglect, living with a family member with mental health or substance use disorders, witnessing domestic violence, sudden separation from a loved one, poverty, racism and discrimination, and violence in the community. So these are some of the adverse childhood experiences. If you experience multiple of these before the time that you turned 9, which again is when the majority of our brain development occurs, what does that mean for the rest of your life? Right? These are experiences that are deeply rooted in our psyches, I'm going to talk about our stress response as another reason why childhood trauma impacts us as adults. The way that we respond to stress in our environments when our brains are in those crucial development phases is often how we respond to stress throughout our entire lives. So that phase of development is crucial, right? And even if you go back, which is one of I have reflection prompts laid out in the workbook that I created, to implore you to go back to those times. How did you respond to stress? Were you in a highly stressful environment as a child? And now you're experiencing like the same bodily responses to stress as an adult. And what are the linkages there? Just to get curious about these things. I think that's really important to healing. Yeah. Yeah, y'all. Please introduce yourselves as you come in so we can say hello. Happy Friday again. Yeah, stress response. So this becomes solidified during childhood, which is why ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, is a huge field of study, especially within social work, psychology. These experiences in childhood can lead to mental illness, physical illness. They can really impact your health for your entire lifetime. Like it's that serious, which is why a lot of the research is done in like early childhood development. Because if a child is exposed to high levels of stress, and again, what I laid out, and even thinking about this within the context of like Black mental health, Black women's mental health, all of these things that we experience in oppressive systems, how is this impacting our children's development, right? Their brain development, and setting them up for illnesses later in life. So it's really that serious. Yeah, Danny says, looking forward to this conversation. I have been journaling with inner child healing questions, all the memories I thought I forgot about, but have been there all along. I pray for compassion and grace. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah. Self-compassion is huge, right? Understanding that you were in these very harmful environments and we can't leave, right? I think that has to be emphasized. We can't leave as children. What are we going to do? Take care of ourselves? We're dependent on other people around us to care for us in the way that we need. And sometimes that doesn't come through, right? That doesn't come through. Nia, hey, is that Rochelle on your book cover? I believe it is. I think someone else commented that I had no idea. I just thought that picture was so beautiful. But yeah, I think it is. Thank you. Thank you for that question. But yeah, self compassion is key. Understanding that you, again, were in these environments, you survived, that has to be emphasized. You have to celebrate yourself for that. Now that you are an adult, looking back on the things that you went through, that you experienced, you made it to this point, that deserves to be celebrated, right? And the things that you encountered were not your fault. This is something I emphasize in the workbook that I created. Again, 5 steps to begin healing from childhood trauma, which you can purchase at this link. But yeah, emphasizing that continuously. What happened to you does not define who you are. It does not define who you are. And in fact, celebrating yourself for surviving these traumatic experiences, getting to this point, is pivotal to healing and reclaiming those parts of yourself that you lost along the way, which is always possible as long as you're living. Yeah. Hey. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And Danny, I think that's an important point too. Journaling, right? As a way to reflect, like you said, inner child healing questions. What questions do you have for the younger versions of yourself? Right. And I lay out a lot of reflection questions for each of the 5 steps to healing, which I'll go over in the workbook. But this is so important. Asking yourself these probing questions, like you're asking the younger versions of yourself, what are you feeling? Right? Where are you getting support from? Where do you need support? Who is traumatizing to you? What environment is traumatizing to you? And how are you feeling? Because a lot of us were not asked growing up as children, especially those of us who are highly sensitive, how we're feeling and what damage did that do to us, making it feel like something was wrong with us this entire time. And we're just getting to the point as adults, reflecting back and realizing that, oh, nothing was wrong with me this entire time. Right? Thank you for this question. I appreciate it. Can you speak about what led you to write? Yeah, I think being on my own healing journey again, from a toxic job, from a really traumatizing job experience, and having to go back to the roots of why this environment felt so familiar, right? And it felt like I could not leave. That's something that I keep coming back to, because it was similar to a lot of the environments that I encountered early on that I couldn't leave. So just having that grace for myself, it felt familiar. It was a familiar pattern. And I had to go back and really walk myself through these steps that I lay out in the workbook, right? And I'll go over them now. Awareness, acknowledgement, processing, integration, and then growing forward. Really walking myself through those 5 steps to begin healing the childhood versions of myself, right? And that led me to create like a guide for other people who are going through a similar process, realizing that the environments that we're in, the people that we're around, they often reflect and mirror something that we experience very early on. And so that leads me to believe and know that there's an open wound that was created in childhood, that we're just kind of in the same pattern. Our brains are falling into that same thought pattern, right? Without our conscious awareness, which is the first step that I lay out, that we're in it. And so it feels like we can't escape because it is so familiar. So that's the reason why I wrote this. Thank you for that question. Danny says, yes, celebrate is a necessary step. It's a victory to have made it this far. I love your workbook. Oh, thank you, because it's like you are our companion, encouraging us to keep going through this reflection journey. Yeah. Thank you for that, Danny. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that means a lot to me. That means a lot to me. Yeah. It is a victory. It is a victory to have made it this far. I think that's important to say. Have you celebrated yourself? Have you acknowledged, right? The second step that I lay out, have you acknowledged that this is a journey that you've been on, and the fact that you're taking it on and able to go back to the childhood versions of yourself? Have you acknowledged how much of a victory that is? Right? That's a lot. That's a lot of work to even get to that point. Mia says, I'm so grateful more Black women are coming forward to share their experiences in the workplace. Yeah, me too. Me too. That's been so healing, right? Because it can feel so isolating. It can feel like you're the only one navigating this by yourself. And so for us to be able to come out and be like, no, I experienced this. It's a pattern of mistreatment that we're experiencing. It also helps us develop a strategy going forward, right? That we don't have to just leave ourselves open to mistreatment that we know that we will likely occur. It will likely occur based on the other experiences that we've heard from other Black women. Yeah. 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 That's a perfect word. It's systematic. It is. It is systematic. Yep. Cannot agree with that more. Yeah. Yeah. Another reason why childhood trauma impacts us as adults still, agency. Like I said, we don't have the agency to leave harmful environments as children. We are completely dependent on our caregivers for survival, for care, for love, right? So we develop neural pathways, which are just thought patterns that follow us into adulthood, making it feel like we don't have agency as adults. When now we have the power to literally pick ourselves up, right? And I know there's different circumstances that may make this more difficult, but to pick ourselves up, that we're free, that we have agency as adults to move to a different environment that is not harming us. And really sitting with the fact that nothing is wrong with you. It's the environment, right? Kind of rejecting the feeling that we often get of self-blame. In these toxic environments, what could I do differently? How can I contort myself, which is something that's very real for me? Like, how can I take off pieces of myself to be able to fit into this environment better? What if it's just the environment that's harmful and nothing has been wrong with you this entire time? What if you leaned into that instead of self-doubt, self-criticism, right? And realize that you are operating in oppressive environments every day. And you're surviving, just like you did throughout childhood. You're surviving, but now you have the ability to remove yourself and go into an environment, hopefully, that's less harmful. And if not, now you have a game plan. Now you have a strategy in place. So you're not going to be caught off guard because you recognize what you're in. Yeah. Yeah. I agree, Nia. Yeah, social media has been this middle place. Oh, I've been hearing that term. Yeah, this middle place to heal out loud. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, YouTube has been such a blessing in my life, right? To see other Black women sharing their stories about how they've healed authentically, so openly, something I've never experienced before, and has really led me to be able to share my own story. And I think it's kind of like a ripple effect. The more of us we see that are at the point where we're able to share what we've gone through, it's like that gives permission to other people to be like, okay, now I can share what I've been through, what I survived. Then we see we're not alone, which I think is like the point, right? We're not alone in any of this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. P.S. says, I caught the flu on Wednesday, told my supervisor. She asked me what days am I available to work next week. You need time to heal. You need time to heal. So tired of the rat race. Yeah. That's too much. That is too much. And these systems that we're living in, they don't provide us like time to be human. Our bodies need time to heal from illness. You may get 1 day, you may get 2 days if you're lucky, right? That's not enough time for some of us to heal. And so we go back sick into workplaces, right? Spreading stuff to other people. These are just not systems that are conducive to our well-being. And I hate that. I hate that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do hope you get better too soon. Yeah. 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 Tell her that you need time to heal. Yeah. Yeah. It's not, Leslie. No, actually, that is not enough time for anyone to heal. It's not. No. And the flu can be vicious, right? A lot of times we like write off the flu like it's just no. No, that can actually do a number on your body. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, another reason why childhood trauma still impacts us as adults. We're new to Earth. So our identities are being newly formed, right? As new beings on Earth, how we perceive the world, if we feel safe, if we are supported, if we're well taken care of, when we are completely reliant on others for survival. So these are these crucial development stages in childhood. Did you feel safe? Did you feel supported? Did you feel like you could say when something was wrong? And if not, how did that impact your brain development? And how are you in those patterns still in adulthood that were really solidified early on? But realizing again that you have the agency, again, as I lay out my workbook, you have the agency to now revisit those experiences as an adult, understand the patterns that are playing out, and then step in to essentially like protect the childhood versions of yourself now. Now you don't have to be in this harmful environment. Now you can put boundaries in place to protect yourself from people who consistently harm you. Right? Understanding that you have agency as an adult, though you did not as a child. Yeah, sending you love, yeah. And we hope you feel better soon. Yeah. 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 Another reason, internalized shame. So this is something I've been sitting with, and I'll probably be making more videos about this, but why we internalize shame. So our natural response is to harm with no way to express it, which I think is how shame is often developed, right? So our natural outrage, our natural saying that's not right, or like being fully who we are, and then encountering a negative response to that and not being able to really defend ourselves, really say how we feel. So we turn inwards and we think something's wrong with us. And then that shame carries through to adulthood. A lot of us still doubt ourselves. We still feel like we're not good enough, that we can't show up fully as who we are. Because of the messages that we received early on, we internalize those. And now we're carrying around shame that is like deeply impacting how we show up, our relationships, literally every facet of our life. Shame is a really deep emotion, right? And also, as children, our brains can only perceive what is happening to us as it being our fault. So that can create another level of shame. In these development stages, we're not able to see this is the adult's issue that they're dealing with. I'm being affected by it, but it's not my fault. Our brains are not at that level. They haven't developed to that level. So we can only take it on as it being our fault. And how is this impacting us? Still thinking as 30, 40, 50-year-olds that what happened to us in childhood was our fault. And how can you now externalize that? Push the shame off yourself, right? I include like in the workbook a visual of literally taking the boulder of shame that you've been carrying around throughout life and placing it at the feet of the person who harmed you or the place who harmed you and walking away. Because that was never yours to carry. That was never yours to carry, and it's weighing you down, right? And you have the power to release that now. You have the power to release it. Yeah. Nia says it's truly manifests as sickness when we cannot be, our authentic selves. I only want to be where I'm celebrated. Mm-hmm. I feel that. Yeah, it does. It does. Shame, right? How shame causes illness. Because when you're not able to be who you were put here to be fully, authentically, right? You start to take off pieces of yourself. You carry that inside you, right? And what does that do energetically, right? Even going to like energy healing. What does that do when you're not living your full authentic life, your authentic self? The energy that is supposed to be being expressed by you being your full self is being trapped within you. And that manifests as sickness, physical sickness, mental sickness, spiritual sickness. Yeah. Stress in the body. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's true. The stress that causes. And again, it's like it's trivialized, right? It's just expected that you're not supposed to be able to show up as your authentic self within the society that we live in, within oppressive systems, that you're supposed to be okay with cutting off pieces of yourself. No, because we see the ramifications of that. And that's why we have to continuously advocate. No, we need to be able to be our full selves, whatever that looks like. Because if not, we see what happens to our bodies. We see what happens to our bodies. Hey, Mara, welcome. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Good to see you. And I saw that you're preparing for a move abroad. Clapping for you. Clapping for you. Mo in the city, hey, says, I have nightmares. Yeah. Yeah, about my childhood neglect. Yeah. 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 Sending you love. And yeah, that is, yeah. And I agree with this. I was just about to say this. Complex PTSD, yeah, that could be something that you're grappling with. Speaking from experiences that I've had, understanding how that falls under that complex post-traumatic stress disorder, of having those reoccurring dreams, memories, nightmares of things that you went through. And that's when therapy can be a helpful resource to walk you through the healing process. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, Nia says a lot of that stress or trauma goes to our womb spiritual perspective. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true. That is true. And yeah, how does that impact future generations too? What are we passing on because of the stress that we encounter day after day? Living in these inhuman systems, we're passing that on literally in the DNA of our children, right? Creating generational trauma, harm that creates illness. Mm-hmm. That is true. That is true. Danny says, I realize indecision. Okay, this resonates as one of my trauma responses. When I was young, the lack of agency I had over time limited my imagination and my spontaneous nature. I am finding her again and inviting her back. First of all, that last sentence. I am finding her again and inviting her back. That's beautiful. And yes, I can resonate with that. Indecision, not wanting to make a final decision because what if? I have a tendency to catastrophize based on the experiences that I had early on. And even like recognizing that is huge for healing. Because, like you said, now with that knowledge, you're finding her again, who you used to be, who had imagination, who had a spontaneous nature. Now you're able to identify who you actually are and call back that version of yourself. That is the information that healing and understanding how childhood wounds impact you can really do. So thank you. Thank you. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. EMDR. And Merit, that is eye movement desensitization therapy. It's a therapeutic process where you essentially like close your eyes and you, I think you blink a certain number of times, but it's a way to process really deep traumatic experiences that you've encountered. And this is a form of therapy that is offered as well. EMDR. Yeah. Lesson says our bodies, they are such wonderful machines. It seeks to heal us automatically, and outside forces prevent that from happening. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Even sitting with the fact that our bodies heal us physically so often without our conscious awareness, and how can that be applied to spiritual healing, mental healing, realizing that we do have tools that exist within us already to begin the healing process at any time, because our bodies demonstrate that to us. And I agree, outside forces prevent that from happening. Yeah, that has to be said. It's by design. It's by design, and it's intentional. It's intentional. Yeah, celebrating you. Celebrating you. Yes, agreed. Somatic therapy helps with the trauma of the body. I heard also. Yeah, yeah. And somatic therapy can look like breath work, right? It's really tapping back into your body's responses. A lot of the times we are disconnected from our bodies, right? We're just living in our minds day to day because, again, of the society we live in. So any way that you can tap into, how does this feel? Am I breathing? Am I breathing deeply? Am I stressed? Do I feel certain parts of my body start to respond when I'm in certain situations? Could this be an environment that's reminding me of something that I was in childhood? Really going to that level. Yes, somatic healing is wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy is EMDR. Yes. Thank you for that. Oh, the tapping method. The tapping method. Yeah. I have heard of that too. Listen, yes, these conversations really reiterated. Ooh, the fact that not only are we all suffering, we're suffering the same things. Leslie, this is true. The level of truth here, right? Us just being able to share in the chat, share on our channels if you have a channel, right? In any way that you want to. Connecting the dots, realizing that we're going through the same things. We're going through the same things. Yeah. Because these are systems that we're living under that are resulting in the same outcomes for a lot of us. Yeah. That's crucial. That's crucial. Danny says, I need some somatic therapy in my life. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of the things like breath work, gentle movement, becoming aware. Again, the first step that I lay out in my workbook, becoming aware of how your body is reacting to certain people, situations, things. That's pivotal information to begin healing and begin your somatic healing practice. If you notice that you're holding your breath when you're stressed, how can you invite breath back into that moment? That's healing your body right there. Because we need oxygen to really be ourselves, right? To be alive, first of all, but to be our full authentic selves, we need oxygen to do that. And it sounds simple, but a lot of us are not breathing. And I'll speak for myself. That's the first thing that goes when I'm stressed is my breath. So can you start there with that building block? When you notice yourself holding your breath, can you invite breath back in? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Scrolling through. Oh, I got you. Yeah, that was spelling as wound, womb. Okay. Therefore, I guess Spirit wanted me to spell it like that. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it says indecision as a trauma response. Ooh, I felt that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's one of my trauma responses too. Indecision. If you have trouble making decisions, landing on something, trusting yourself. Could that be rooted in something that you experienced early on? Did someone gaslight you? Which we know that adults love to do to children. I mean, honestly, because children are able to pick up on things that make adults uncomfortable because it's the pure truth. So did you experience gaslighting early on that now you're continuing to do to yourself in adulthood? And how can you come out of that pattern? Yeah. Yeah. Look back at my list. And the last one I have laid out is the concepts. The entire concept of childhood and adulthood are constructs of time that are made up that do not actually exist. An arbitrary number of 18 means absolutely nothing. We're still the same person, the same spirit housed within the same body, with all of the experiences that we had in the past. So the whole concept of childhood, adulthood, right? These things, these phases in life that are made up. How is that impacting us? Feeling like we can't go back to childhood to see what we endured. Because now we're adults. Now we're supposed to be over it. That was actually your experience as a human being over time. When you look at the time horizon of your life, what have you went through? Without these artificial labels of childhood, adulthood, right? Different age ranges, you're still the same person. And what could you be missing out on? The parts of yourself by only viewing it in very fragmented ways as we are taught and socialized to do within this society. Hey, Danny, good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, ASMR. Nia says, I love ASMR. I watched it before it became popular. It doesn't relax everyone, though. Yeah. Yeah, some videos, some ASMR I can rock with. Um, yeah, that's funny. Like the eating videos don't do it for me. That doesn't relax me. But there's this like videos of people cutting soap that I come across. Those are very relaxing to me. Those kind of calm my nervous system. So it just depends on the video, the person, if ASMR works for you. That part. Nia says, we're suffering a society not designed for us. That's it. That's it. Yep. Oh, Mara, thank you. Yeah, tapping method helps with limerence too. It helps mine. Thank you. Thank you. Leslin says, I see in my adult daughter today that she literally gaslights herself. And I cry because I know it is because as adults, we taught her to do that. Wow. Wow. Sending love to you, Leslin. Yeah. I can't imagine that recognition, right? As a parent, because I can only come from the perspective of a child at this point in my life, but seeing that, right, and what effect that might have, understanding the roots as you raise this person. Um, so yeah, I can't imagine how difficult that would be. Thank you for sharing that with us. The tapping method. I don't have deep insight into this, but I know, and Mara, please share with us if you're still here. But I know that isn't it like tapping on specific parts of your body to release energy, stored energy, repressed energy, as part of healing? I think it may be like an alternative healing practice, but Mara, please let us know. Nia says, what is your comfort series or comfort YouTube channel? Comfort series or comfort YouTube channel? Comfort series. Do I watch series? I love documentaries. I just watched, what's it called? Stax Records documentary on HBO Max. That was everything. That was everything. Old documentaries. I'm a nerd, y'all, so I like history, anything with history. YouTube channels, Black women, traveling, exploring, healing. That's pretty much my on my watch later list. And I love coming across like new creators and seeing their journeys. Thank you for that question. Hello, welcome, welcome. Okay, Mara says she'll create a video on her channel to explain it. Thank you. Thank you. Please subscribe to Mara's channel, y'all. Let me link it here. It's I agree with that. The fact that you recognize it is great. Yeah. Yeah. Especially like coming from the child's perspective, understanding that some of our caregivers are not able to even get to that level. They're not at that place in their journey where they're able to recognize the impacts of their decisions, that their behaviors have had on us, that now we're carrying into adulthood. We're trying to heal ourselves based on what they did. Right? So even being able to recognize that, that's healing. Like that's healing. I agree. Yeah. Hey Aaron, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a minute. See you, Mara. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Hope you have a great weekend. Yes. And please subscribe to Mara's channel, y'all. Let's talk about it with Mara. Nia says, I love to ask questions, as you can tell. Yes. I've been watching urban interviews as of late. Love the Black Sisters Traveling Healing Movement. You're so very welcome. Yes. Yeah. Literally anything with travel, exploration, healing, anything like that. I like to watch. But yes, y'all, I think that was the end of my list. Let me go back and see. Yes, that was it. So like I said, I did create a new workbook called 5 Steps to Begin Healing from Childhood Trauma. And this is beneficial if you are just beginning to understand what happened to you in childhood in different ways to heal. Again, I'll lay out the 5 steps that I laid out in the workbook. Awareness, acknowledgement, processing, integration, and then growing forward. These are laid out. I write about them. So you have that, right? And this, I really designed this to be like a lifetime workbook that you can revisit. So there's reflection prompts after each series of steps that I lay out, as well as therapy, healing resources. My story a little bit is shared in the beginning, and then the conclusion just really telling you to celebrate yourself, prompting you to do that because you survived traumatic childhood experiences and they do not define you. And you're here and you're bringing your awareness to what you experienced and you're healing, and all of that is not easy work. So just being able to sit with that. Just being able to sit with that. Yeah. Yeah, y'all. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, restful weekend. Invite rest in when you can, where you can. Carve it out for yourself, even if it's not provided for you. Carve out space for yourself to be well. And yeah. Robbie, okay, you know what I'm talking about. I heard you mention ASMR with the soap slices. That's it. They're so calming. They are. That's like the only ASMR genre I can get into. I love the soap cutting. I love it. No, I have not heard of these folks. Stephanie So. Okay. Mukbangs. Okay. But I hope y'all have a beautiful rest of your day, a beautiful weekend. And thank you for joining me. Again, I did create a new workbook, digital workbook, 5 Steps to Begin Healing from Childhood Trauma, that is now available for purchase. It's also linked in the description section if you want to click there and download it. But yeah, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Yes, have a very blessed and beautiful Friday, everyone. Thank you, Marissa. You're welcome. Danny says, thank you, Marissa, for what you do in the space. You have a better one, dear. Oh, thank you, Danny. I appreciate that. And you too. This has been a wonderful weekend. I look forward to your workbook. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Happy weekend, everyone. Thank you, Marissa. I needed this today. You're welcome, Leslie. And thank you for sharing so transparently. It's healing for us to read what you share in the chat every time that you're in this space. So we celebrate you. Thank you. Hey, we're just wrapping up. Welcome, Exquisite Coils. Good to see you. Rabia says, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the day. You too. You too. On that note, y'all, until next time, I will be going live with the Tia next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking about how to reconnect with your intuition. So that should be exciting. But until then, y'all, thank y'all for watching. Bye. Yes, replay game.